Hello guys, Crispy here and welcome back to another video. With this one, my friends, I'm going to be testing the Radeon R9 290 in Cyberpunk 2077. This one is the reference design. You can actually tell that it's a 290, even though it doesn't say right there, because of the temperatures. 93 degrees Celsius is absolutely fine. Don't you worry. It's not like a very high temperature for an R9 290. It's completely normal, okay? So I'm not overclocking it. Of course, it's a bad idea with a stock cooler, and over in Tech PowerUp's GPU-Z, you can check out all of its specs. It has 4 GB of GDDR5, 2560 shading units, and it's a Y GPU. That's why it's pretty hot. You don't know, it's not. That's just the name of the architecture. 28 nanometer, released back in 2013, 9 years ago. Over on the left, we're pairing it with the brand new to the channel i7 4770K and 16 GB of DDR3 1600 MHz dual channel RAM. Let's get into it, shall we? And let's go over the settings first. I'm starting this off at 1080p resolution, low settings, medium textures because 4 gigs of VRAM, no FSR at the moment, and over here everything is also set to low, like the crowd density. That's the only thing that matters there. Let's do this.
Hey everyone.
Hey
Feels
Ruth.
great to have you back.
Feels really great to have you back as well. Always love to get into this game and hear Ruth saying the same thing over and over and over again. Oh boy, it's starting to get pretty hot in here. This is a 275 watt GPU, by the way, and actually it's doing a fairly good job here in Cyberpunk 2077 for it being a 9-year-old GPU, right? It doesn't really drop from 30 FPS. It's actually very playable at 1080p resolution. And this is native resolution, guys. I mean, that's impressive. That's really impressive for an R9 290. For a R9 290, yes. Anyway, let's go. I will kill Bob next time we go there. By the way, I totally forgot about that. I was just impressed about the performance of this card. And as you can see, even though it's at 92 degrees Celsius, it is not really thermal throttling or anything. It's at 947 megahertz as it should, and it's eating only 3 GB of VRAM with medium textures. So everything is completely fine in that regard. The CPU is also good. I'm running a stock cooler on it. I actually need to upgrade that to overclock it in future videos. But it's also doing a really nice job. It's a Haswell CPU, 4th generation Intel, and with an overclock it should still be capable of running even the most intensive titles these days. Alright, so that was the performance using 1080p native resolution in low settings. Let's use some ultra quality FSR, which is present in this game. Oh, actually, why is the FOV not maxed out? Alright, there we go. It doesn't really matter because we're not really walking around. We're just in the car, so that doesn't really change, I think, at least. And as you can see with FSR, things don't really change that much. You do get a little bit more FPS. Yes, it's not dropping into the 30s anymore, but it's not as big of a difference as with the newer GPUs, for sure. Though, however, it still looks really damn good, and we can still kill Bob, so that's perfect, of course. I'm really curious to see how FSR 2.0 will look in this game. I really hope they implement that. Thank you very much. Finally killed Bob there. Okay. Yeah, that i7 is starting to slightly bottleneck the card here, using FSR, guys. So, wow, this game is super intensive, especially in this area for the CPU, as well as the GPU, but yeah, it gets really, really CPU intensive there. Anyways, 50 FPS on average so far. That's pretty damn nice. I mean, Cyberpunk 2077 is one of the most intensive games out there these days, and you can play it on a 9-year-old GPU. That's insane. This graphics card also competed against the GTX 780 back in the days. It was actually cheaper than the 780, and these days it's doing such a better job, especially in this game and newer titles, you know, DirectX 12 games and Vulkan games. Yeah, it just wrecks the 780 these days. It's not even funny. Okay, I think these are pretty nice and adequate settings for an R9 290. It performs like way better than something like 1050 Ti, for example, but it also consumes like 3 or 4 times more power almost. So there's that. And I think we should now go to medium settings with FSR turned off. Can it actually handle it? These are the medium settings now. No motion blur by default. That's amazing. Getting 30s and 40s at times. Let's go in that direction for a little bit now. See what kind of FPS we can get in this area. So far, so good. Not dropping from 30 FPS. I think for medium settings, a 30 FPS experience is what you should expect here with the R9 290, or at least aim for. It might still drop here and there though. Let's see in the most intensive area of my benchmark run at least. Actually, the most intensive area of my benchmark run might be the other street that's parallel to this one, but hey, we are fine. This is also pretty intensive, and it's not dropping, guys. That is insane coming from the R9 290. Damn. Okay, we might die here. Let's go, police car. I mean, usually with other cars, they get set on fire pretty quickly, but this one, no, it might have some armor, I don't know. Anyways, 30s. I really want to see if it drops in the other street, because this is pretty good. This is native 1080p resolution. We're not using FSR, and actually I'm using a 1080p monitor, and FSR looks pretty damn good. I'm not gonna lie, like on Ultra Quality 1080p resolution on a native 1080p panel, it does look decent. The nerve. I will show you the nerve, buddy. Get over here. Come on. Yes. All right, that's the nerve. Get out now. Okay, new car, guys. It's a little bit faster, or it might be, I don't know. Okay, this is it. Almost getting to the intensive area. It's right now. Okay, 31, 30. It doesn't drop. All right, and if you have a factory overclocked model of this card, or if you do overclock it, be sure to use another cooler though. This is already at 94 degrees Celsius. It's downclocking a little bit, actually. Look at that. The clock speeds are fluctuating, so it is thermal throttling slightly, but not to the point where you will see any difference in results, actually. So it's fine. But yes, if you want to overclock this card, definitely install a better cooler on it. I will probably be doing that, because I have another R9 290 that's broken and it has a much better cooler, and it's actually compatible with this one. So yeah, I'll do that one of these days. Maybe when we try to fix our 6600 XT as well. So anyways, let's enable some FSR on the Ultra Quality preset here. And let's do this. Medium settings, still okay. Alright, yes, so FSR, I was saying it looks pretty good. It does look pretty good, but you can't tell the difference between resolution, native resolution, and FSR turned on. But it doesn't look like a lower resolution on a 1080p monitor, you know. It just looks like weird over-sharpening things are happening every once in a while and around the screen. You can see some shimmering sometimes in some areas, but it's not really that distracting. And actually on medium settings, it's more noticeable than on low settings that you have FSR on, because it over-sharpens some of the noise that you get on medium settings as well, and it just ends up looking a little bit too weird. But I think it looks good anyways, and I would definitely play like this if you don't want to lock your FPS. If you want to lock your FPS to like 30, for example, and play with a controller for a console or last-gen console-like experience, actually it's gonna be way better than a last-gen console-like experience, by the way. Yeah, it's gonna run perfectly on medium settings, and if you want a little bit smoother of an experience and you don't want to lock your FPS, I guess FSR makes sense here on medium settings. You get 44 FPS average. That's actually insane for something like this. And we've also been to a couple of demanding areas in this benchmark run, so 44 on average, it's actually good here. So let's go up to high settings here. I wouldn't really go to quality FSR, by the way. We might need to do that on high to achieve playable FPS, but I really don't like quality FSR at 1080p. It looks a little bit weird and bad, honestly. Alright, so high settings, they might be still applying. Probably not, actually, because I took a little bit longer than usual there in the menu. But yes, it does drop a lot from 30 FPS. So it's not really a viable option anymore, unless you're okay with like 25 frames. But why would you be, you know? Because you have the option to play at higher FPS. If it was 25 FPS with like a GT 710 at lowest settings possible, I would take it. But I won't really take this. Although it's probably playable for somebody with a GT 710, you have the option to play at higher FPS, so take it, guys, okay? High settings does look a lot better than medium, though, not gonna lie, but it is a little bit too rough right now, moving the camera around and stuff. You can feel the input lag as well, so definitely don't recommend this. What about FSR, though? if we enable that, we might get 30 plus. That's gonna be insane, actually, if it's possible. Okay, so 30 plus right now. But of course, we need to see it in the most intensive areas, right? And we're almost getting there. 35, 34, 32, 31, 30. Okay, it is running exactly the same as medium settings, native 1080p resolution. So I guess, basically with FSR, you get to play at the higher presets. Just enable FSR and you get the same FPS as like medium settings, but on high right now. That's pretty damn good, not gonna lie, guys. That is really nice. So if you want to lock the FPS to 30, once again, this is gonna be a great experience here. And I would probably choose to play like this instead of medium at 1080p native resolution. It depends on how sensitive you are to spotting those shimmery edges and stuff like that. Anyways, around here we get 30 still. That's impressive, guys. That is pretty impressive. Alright. I like it. Okay, I really can't wait for FSR 2.0 to be in this game because it looks so much better than 1.0. You see some smudgy textures still here in FSR 1.0, but with 2.0 it almost looks like DLSS. It's a little bit more shimmery usually than DLSS, but still way better than this. I can't wait for them to implement that into this game. So, totally playable still on high settings using FSR. I will just show you the FSR quality now. It should look pretty bad. It's not terrible, but you can start noticing a lot of smudginess across the screen. So, it's alright, guys. You get like 3 or 4 more frames per second there in worst case scenario. You do you. If you have a smaller monitor, 1080p like 21 inch or smaller than that, I'm not sure if it exists though, aside from laptops of course. Yeah, it will actually look pretty good using quality FSR, but I don't really recommend it. Alright, so let's go up to Ultra settings, maybe? Or Steam Deck settings first. Let's do Steam Deck settings first without the motion blur and without FSR. That's almost the same as high. Yeah, you can see that it's getting around the same FPS as high settings. It looks a little bit worse though, because you don't get that ambient occlusion. It's actually disabled in the settings, which is pretty weird. And I'm just gonna enable some ultra quality FSR once again. Let's go to that intensive area, see how many FPS we can get there. Damn it, I just can't really control cars in this one, I'm sorry. Okay, it's dropping like to 30 FPS already, so I think it's gonna drop from 30 actually. Oh, it's really close. Did we not get more FPS using high settings, default high settings? I think it looks better and we did get like slightly more FPS. Maybe it's exactly the same, but I don't know, guys. I'm just texting Digimon because she's home and she doesn't have the keys. Damn it, see what happens when you're typing in the road, guys? You should not do that in real life. It's actually extremely dangerous. I'm not really sure why people do it. I see so many people on their phones while driving. It's insane. Okay, 29 there, so it's definitely slightly more intensive than high settings, default high settings, using these. So just go for high, honestly. Let's go ultra settings now, which is definitely not a good idea, but it's just for fun at this point. Ooh, I forgot to disable the motion blur as well. We get a cinematic experience here, actually below cinematic frame rate, so that's bad. That is actually pretty bad. Okay, it's honestly expected, right? Because this is an old GPU. What wasn't expected was it being playable at high settings using FSR. That was actually crazy, right? Motion blur helps it a little bit with the smoothness factor, but it looks terrible in my opinion. What about ultra quality FSR here? 30 FPS at ultra settings. We're getting the same FPS as like high, I think, without FSR. So, yeah, you don't really gain much visual fidelity on ultra settings compared to high, and it's way more demanding, so avoid it. Avoid it like the plague. Yes, because you can't really say that word ever since the new disease in the world. Anyways, actually, let me just try it out at a lower resolution, like 720p with the ultra settings and FSR Ultra Quality. Actually, at 720p, disable that. Yeah, it's better if you disable that. All right, it gets 30s now. But it will actually drop from 30 for sure. Yeah, already dropping from 30. So even at 720p, you can't really play with ultra settings. High settings, however, might be pretty decent here. Without FSR, please. Thank you. I'm actually going to start counting the FPS. And yeah, 40s. It looks way worse than 1080p using ultra quality FSR. So unless you have a 720p monitor, I really not recommend this, and I would avoid dropping the resolution. Just use FSR instead. It looks better in my opinion. But hey, as you can see, native 720p resolution, it does get you 30 plus all of the time because it didn't drop in that street. So I guess that's been it. Let's just kill Bob one more time, shall we? Because that's very important here. Since we can't see Jack, we need to make sure that Bob always dies. It's so difficult to control the cars in this game. You have no idea if you have never played Cyberpunk. It's insane, the handling of the cars. Oh boy, what just happened there? That was a little bit of a bug, wasn't it? Wait, is Bob a girl now? I'm not sure. I gotta get out to see properly. Is he dead? Or is she dead? No? No. She's just... Okay, yeah, she's not dead. She's just... But, no, it's a guy, right? I can see some facial hair there. You never know these days. Anyways, Bob, goodbye. Nice to meet you. Or not, actually. Thank you very much for watching this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And, yeah, it's actually quite playable still. If you have a 720p monitor, play on high settings. Or medium. Because you're gonna get 60 FPS probably. So yeah, but most people will have 1080p monitors, so that's why I'm not really testing a lot of resolutions here today. So again, thanks very much for watching. As always, love you all. Bye bye.